Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In this one we'll be going through the basics of frameworks and things that beginners should know. If you do find this video helpful, make sure you do like below and subscribe. Watch any further videos since in the future I will be making more videos on frameworks. Well, let's start off with what is a framework. A framework is a foundation where a program can be made on, meaning a framework gives you a template where you can write on. So someone else wrote some code making this whole entire framework. So for example, someone made a framework for web front end, back end, which is um, full stack, so web development. And in this framework, there's routing and templates and whatnot. Well, if you didn't use a framework, you would have to make the routing and templates all by yourself. But frameworks gives you the ease of just adding the parts you want to add, which is great because it gives you a lot of customization and functionality. Majority of frameworks come with libraries and extensions, so it'll give the programmer ease in programming a bit more. Uh, so frameworks are not entirely languages. Frameworks are stuff for languages. For example, a framework for Python will be Django, a framework for JavaScript would be Vue.js or even Node.js, and a framework for PHP, Ruby would be Ruby on Rails. So what these what the languages are pure vanilla code. With the framework, they are non-vanilla code, meaning they are not entire. Some might not be entirely the language. Uh, it's hard to wrap your head around. But usually with frameworks, it's quick to start up your application, and some frameworks make it a step further where it gives you tons and tons of functionality where it's is good enough to quickly deploy your app, whether you be data analytics or websites or artificial intelligence. Well, let's move on with why we use frameworks. As before mentioned, we use frameworks to improve coding time, so you don't really have to implement these stuff like routing and templates. And with using frameworks, it gives you functionality and flexibility where you could have probably not came up with. So these framework devs spend tons and tons of time optimizing the framework just for you and users. So they create documentations, and great frameworks and reliable ones have great communities where you can ask for help. And frameworks are amazing since technically you're not starting a project from scratch. You're starting frameworks does the majority of the heavy lifting for you. And what's great about frameworks, majority of them are free. Examples being Django and Vue.js. The middle one is a PHP framework, which I'm not sure what it's called. Starts with the L. Well, which one should I choose? Well, depends on the project first thing first. Are you making an artificial intelligence project? Are you making something for data analytics? Are you making something for web development? These are important things to take in account to choose what frameworks you're gonna do, because if you are gonna do data analytics with Python, you need to choose a framework like, well, this is probably not a framework, it's more of a library like Panda, but we won't get too into it. And you also want to think about this: if you get a framework with more functionality, less work, more code given to you, there's a harder chance for beginners to understand this framework, as you didn't write the code and you may not understand the code that was written. So frameworks such as Flask that are lightweight, less beefy like Django, are easy for beginners to learn, as you write majority of the code. But take into account this might not work for everyone, and some beginners start off with Django and they become accustomed with Django, just like myself. So think about that. And you also want to stick with reliable frameworks. When I mean reliable, I mean popular by people who want these frameworks for their job contract and whatnot. Meaning you don't want to start a framework that is very new. Um, you want to be learning the more popular ones, but don't always be learning the more popular ones. Learn the one that has been reliable. For some example, like Node.js, Django for the back end, front end, I mean, would be Vue.js, Angular, React. Also, do not spend your time learning tons and tons of framework, and I'd say learn around 3 front end and back end frameworks combined. If you know one back end framework really well rather than knowing a couple decently, it'd be better for you to know the one really well. And maybe for front end you want to do some experiments, since you want to try out React.js, and if that's not working for you, if you think that's a bit difficult or you don't really like how it's set up, you can move to Vue.js, you can test that out. But I wouldn't recommend learning more than 3 front end frameworks. You could obviously, but if you're constantly using 3 frameworks, that's not great. Well, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed watching the video and found this one helpful. Again, please like the video and subscribe. It'll help me out a lot. Thank you very much.